Heading to the Midwest Arts Expo? We are too. During Expo Hall Hours, you can find members of our team at booth 511. Outside of Hall Hours, we will be attending professional development sessions or participating on some panels in those sessions. You can hear from me on Monday at 2:15 at The Long Game. The relationship is the deal. You can hear from Josh on Thursday at 9 a.m. at Successful Together, collaborative marketing that sells. And because he is extra fancy, you can hear from him again at the Elevate and Energize Luncheon session, Generations at Work, collaboration across the ages. You can also find us attending showcases or grabbing a drink and talking about the industry at the bar we are sponsoring during those showcases, the bar where it happens. Don't be shy, come say hi. We'll see you at the Midwest Arts Expo.
Hello and welcome to There's No Business Like, a podcast where friends and industry colleagues explore topics and interview leaders in our industry of professional theatrical touring.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to There's No Business Like. I am Katie Miller with Michigan Maven Creative Associates, and I am here today with my friends, Brian.
Hey, Brian Zelmer from Bardavon Presents in Kingston, New York today.
And Kevin.
Kevin Maynard coming at you from Tallahassee with opening nights at Florida State University.
And Josh in his car studio today.
I'm in my car studio in front of a mural in Harrisburg, Illinois, that we are in the process of finishing up, hopefully within the weekend.
Awesome. And Danielle is on vacation this week, finishing up the last little bits of summer. So unfortunately, she could not fit all of us in her suitcase and take us with her. So we miss her, but we understand. So
I don't think she tried.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really suitcase sized.
Yeah, that's true. You need like a gigantic
suitcase
duffel bag for Josh.
That's a fucking road box.
Yeah, just double bag me. That's it.
So, friends, today we are going to have a conversation following up on a presentation / talk that Josh gave recently for OAPN, or Ohio Arts Professionals Network, one of their Tuesday Talk monthly programs, all about commercial programming. So I want to follow up on this because Josh did an amazing job. There were a great Q&A session. Kevin and I were there virtually to listen in. So we wanted to follow up on that and have a little bit of discussion about the role of commercial programming in our industry today. And I'm going to let Josh take it away.
So with the Marion Cultural and Civic Center, we are focused on using commercial programming to help underwrite the artistic and cultural programming, mission-based programming that we like to do. And I'll be honest, we love doing the commercial programming too, because it's commercial for a reason, because it sells, and because it's fun, and because it's popular. But the big thing that I've seen in our community is that doing commercial programming is making people in the community just as happy as doing the cultural-based, art-based, and mission-based programming. It is not a departure from serving your community. It is serving different parts of your community that wouldn't come for the other things anyway. And it is a way to serve the rest of your community more thoroughly.
Before we go any further, how are we defining commercial programming for the purposes of our conversation today, Josh? Like, how do you define commercial versus mission-based?
I think it's a really blurred line, honestly. Especially commercial programming, for the most part, is highly well-developed art forms. I mean, it's still music. Broadway programming is 100% commercial programming. It is the highest level of artistic execution, and yet at the same time, it is done for a commercial purpose. And so, for me, commercial programming is programming that is designed and brought in purely for ticket sales. And the ticket sales from that drive being able to do shows that we're not going to be able to make money on. And that's our mission-based programming.
I agree with what Josh is saying. I just have a slightly different viewpoint of it, but it's basically saying the same thing in that, to me, commercial versus mission-based programming is really about the approach or in the decision process. Just like Josh kind of alluded to when he brought up Broadway programming, any artistic venture that we bring on the stage can be commercial, and they all should be in a sense. But I think when we're talking about commercial programming, I look at it as if we're approaching it purely on a commercial basis, looking at the numbers, looking at how we're going to make money on it or cover our costs for it. And that's solely why we're looking at it in that regard from a business perspective, first and foremost and above everything else. And then the mission driven, the finances and the numbers are important, as they all are for all shows, but in more of a holistic picture of your whole season or amortizing it across multiple shows. And the show itself may not be viable financially, but it's important to do because it matches what your mission is. And I think that's how I look at it, is again, it's your approach and how you're approaching that, where it could be any art form, any genre, can be either. It just depends on your venue, your mission, your set of circumstances of why you're approaching it. So that's how I differentiate.
And what all of you can't see is all the rest of us shaking our head because this is an audio format podcast. Kevin and Katie and I are all shaking our head and confirming and agreeing with Brian in everything that he's saying.
So Kevin, what about you at your venues that you've run? What has been your mix of programming and what has been your philosophy around commercial versus mission-based? And how are those things blending for you, especially now that you're at Florida State?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been a balance. Like, I mean, like Josh said in the beginning, you have this idea of bringing in commercial work to sort of underwrite and pay for the mission-based or more of the like artistic programming that you want to like sort of expose your community into. I don't know that there's ever been a particular mix. It sort of just says what has made sense for the particular season, where we're at in that programming cycle, and what it's looked like for the community. And I think what Josh has been talking about, with the OAPN talks and other things is that we have this relationship in our industry when we talk about commercial programming and artistic programming in this black and white nature, like, that one is better than the other, or one is opposed to another, or that your artistic programming is like bringing in something really great for your community to show them something new. And like, that's what the point of the theater is like this high art approach, when, commercial based programming can do and does do the same thing on many fronts. We've somehow villainized this idea of like bringing in something that is a commercial success because you're going to make a bunch of money off of it.
I think what it's really come down to is that if you're focusing on something for the financial aspects of it, that it's lost its artistic purity, that it's not a pure art form anymore because it's tainted by the aspect of we're doing this for money, we're doing this for success. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And even some of the tribute shows that are out there, we brought in a Taylor Swift tribute show, and Danielle talked about that in a recent episode.
It's also coming to Florida State.
And
so.
We had it before I got here.
T-Swift, baby.
It is wildly successful. It makes tons and tons of money, and it brings these young kids into your venue and their parents, and it's hitting the reach that we all say that we want to hit with our programming. It's a Taylor Swift tribute, so it's not this pure art form that's bringing it in.
I agree with what you both just said, and we're kind of talking to the choir amongst ourselves here, but I think the reason why it's a topic is because there are people in our industry who do view it one way or the other. They'd have that single mentality that, they don't have the holistic view that we kind of take. And I'm not going to name names, but I currently work with people right now that are promoters, that are, renters, that bring in various tours. It's not just us booking directly. And in talking and conversations with them, they 100% are commercially driven, and they don't care. Like, they've told me straight out, it's not about the artistic value or anything else. It's about the commercial success of from their viewpoint. Speaking again about the presenter, about some of the promoters that we work with. And that's what they're in business for. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. But again, from a venue perspective, as you guys are talking about, it's important to expand beyond that thinking and not to villainize any of that, like Josh was talking about, which people on the other side of the aisle, we all go to arts conferences, and I've heard those conversations too, where they villainize the commercial side of things. So, I mean, that's why this conversation is important, because it does exist out there, that those mindsets are out there.
I used to have that mindset. Whenever I first started running the theater, I 100% said, hey, I will not be bringing in any tribute acts. I will not be bringing in any impersonators. We don't need magicians in here. That's not what we're here for.
Take that, Bill.
Ooh, burn.
I was a young and naive person in show business. And for me, I was like, no, I'm here for the pure art form. And like at this point in my career, that seems like such a ridiculous thought to me, because we are in show business. Like, the bottom line is important.
100%.
It's because you like to eat and live in a house.
We've got to pay people.
And I like for the venue to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm curious to know if there was a show or something in particular that sort of changed your mind and opened you up to that. Because I have a very specific moment in my career where I booked a tribute show that I was like, oh, this is eye-opening.
I think for me, a promoter brought in Hotel California, and it sold out, complete sellout, $20,000 of profit. And I'm sitting here looking at that and looking at all of that money going to the promoter and not to the venue and going, oh, I might need to rethink things.
Josh, it's so funny that you use that because Hotel California is mine.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, Jerry Ross had been trying to get me to book it for a long time. And I kept saying no. He had something routed through and needed a date. And I was like, fine. Like, look, it was almost like you wore me down on this. Like, I will go ahead and do it. And we put that thing on sale. And within a couple of weeks, like it had moved 600 tickets. And in the market I was in at the time, like that was like unheard of. And it was a great show and people had a great time. But then also some of those people like came back to other shows as well. And it started having this moment of going, oh, like this is the ecosystem we talk about in just a slightly different setting.
I was similar to Josh. I didn't have the mindset where, especially with tribute acts, or since we're talking about tribute acts, that's just one part of the quote unquote commercial world that people see as commercial. But I only, when I was younger, only had experiences with really bad bar bands, and that was my interpretation of what a tribute act was. And when I started actually going to APAP and seeing some of the showcases by quality tribute acts, and I was like, whoa, they started to blow me away. And I was like, starting to think about it differently. And then I started to work with some in my outdoor series and saw the audience response. And then, I'd hear interviews by actual artists, because one of the complaints is like, oh, why do we have a tribute act for this artist or group when they're still out there touring? And then I heard Billy Joel talk about how he loves that there's Billy Joel tribute acts out there. And of course, he just recently stopped performing, but he was performing heavily at this time. And in an interview, he said he loves them because it keeps his catalog alive. It keeps people excited about his music, and he loved that. And so it just made me start to think of it in a different way as well.
Yeah, and it also gives folks another price point to be able to hear that music live. Like we talked about Taylor Swift earlier, like I'm not dropping that kind of money to go to an actual Taylor Swift show.
And most people can't afford that, right? And so you can still go out and have a great time with your friends, your family, right? And have that experience of being together while listening to your favorite music and, have a great time doing it. And it's about that communal aspect too, I think, with a lot of those sorts of performances.
Well, and I know that whenever we had it, there was one row in a section of 9 seats that was all just my daughter and her friends, and then the row behind it was all of their moms. And I'm not so sure that the moms didn't enjoy it more than the kids.
We're all Swifties, even if you can't say it out loud. I think we're all Swifties to an extent.
I'm here for it. I'm a Swiftie.
So I'm hearing a couple of different things, and I want to bring forward. So I'm hearing sort of like that some of us are still holding on to sort of like a moralistic judgment around commercial versus quote unquote artistic or more mission-based programming. And I'm wondering like why that still is, because every single performing arts center ED or programmer that I talk to when you meet at conferences, everyone is doing this mix of programming. This is not like it's new. It's not like we're just starting to do this. So one, why are we doing that? And then two, when it comes to commercial versus mission-based, I'm thinking about artists that are really blending that line, like say Vitamin String Quartet, for instance. Another, like they just toured with their Taylor Swift show. They're a legit string quartet. They're amazing musicians, but they're playing pop music. So I'm thinking about, or like the Dancing with the Stars tour, for instance, amazing professional dancers, but that's a wholly commercial product. So, you know what I mean? So I'm just thinking about those two questions of like, we're already doing it. Why are we still having this conversation? And where do artists like that fit in to the conversation?
Not everybody in the industry is doing it. And you'll look, some of those people are struggling right now. And I know presenters, I won't again name names, but I know presenters who are like, we're doing a tribute band. They're doing it begrudgingly because they kind of have to financially, but they still don't agree with it. And that's frustrating.
Can I ask, do we not like it, or is there a judgment around tribute bands because it's not original music.
Perhaps, but then the same case could be made for a lot of classical programming as well, and opera
Right.
and musicals, revival of musicals. Are we going to boycott those because they're not original? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
It just frustrates me that we put this on. I mean, this goes back way back. I remember when I first entered the industry, there were people. I have friends that were big, into all kinds of indie music. And then one of the people they followed became a commercial success. And they're like, oh, they sold out. And they started hating them just because they had success. That mindset does not make sense to me.
One of my favorite examples of this is the Nutcracker. Almost every ballet company out there does a Nutcracker. Why? Because that's going to underwrite half of their season. The Nutcracker is their commercial programming for ballet companies. Because the Nutcracker is going to make money, it's going to underwrite their budget for the other shows, and it is what is going to be the thing that evens everything out.
We're talking about a lot of forward-facing things and the way people view or, judge them. But behind the scenes, even how the deals are structured are often very different. A lot of times the quote unquote mission driven deals are pretty much based on a flat guarantee. A lot of times they're lowballed or undervalued. And then the commercial deals tend to be higher. I see I was really surprised because I'm used to, working mostly in the mission based in previous organizations. And we would give a lower guarantee if we were to do some sort of back end split deal. But in the commercial deals, I'm finding that it's actually you still meet the ask or get close to the ask of the guarantee, but you still also do the splits and all of these bonuses and other things. So, the structures of the deals behind the scenes that the audiences and other folks wouldn't understand are very different as well. And it's just because it's quote unquote commercial that they can, from the artist point and the managers and the agents, they can charge more, demand more because they're a commercial, whatever.
Well, I think part of that has to do with potential revenue and what the potential revenue of that act is. I mean, there's a simple mathematics behind, hey, if it's going to bring in this much money, if you get a lower guarantee, then there's potential for the venue to make a lot more money than the act is going to make. And one, that's inequitable. And two, the acts are doing themselves a disservice by allowing that to happen. So I think Kevin touched on something that I'd like to expand on. Kevin, you talked about whenever you had Hotel California come through, you started to see those people coming back for other things. And that Hotel California for you actually created a bridge to new patrons that you hadn't had before.
The thing is, I mean, what for us, like what some people sort of fail to realize, or like, maybe challenging to realize, is that certain venues and just certain things, like people don't feel comfortable in them. When you're working in an ornate theater or anything like that, like some people feel like that place is not for them when they're traditionally, not throwing shade at orchestras or anything like that, but like when they're traditionally doing like orchestras and that sort of stuff, like it doesn't feel like that's a space for them. But when you bring in something that they're like, oh, I know this, I feel comfortable with this, like I can, I feel like I know how to dress for that. I feel like I know how to, enjoy that environment. And they come in there and it sort of breaks down that barrier, makes people look like, oh, like this actually wasn't that bad. Like I feel comfortable here. But then while they're there, they're also seeing all of your advertising for everything else. And it's not a huge amount of people that you're going to bring back to your other shows, but it's at least giving them an opportunity to see what's coming and gives them an opportunity to come back. And the nice thing is that with ticketing systems, like you really can be able to tell who is coming back to those shows
and where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Kevin, it's great that you see that in your experience. It's funny. I've always booked seasons before I was at my current venue. And I remember attending a marketing research presentation at one of the conferences, and the expert there was telling us about data, how a lot of people approach the season by having like that one big name or the headliner to drive the rest of the season. And what that data found was actually that was not the case. So typically that did not happen. They would come to the one big show, but that didn't drive any season subscriptions or any other additional shows. But I think that's different than what you're talking about. Underserved communities come in and have the experience that they're comfortable, that this is a space for them as well. That is a different approach than what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Just I want to make sure it's clear for our listeners that just having that big name on the show is not going to drive your other shows. It's going to maybe bring in audiences that didn't come there before to experience and know that that's a welcoming space. But again, it's the artist or the group that actually drives the ticket sales.
100%. Yeah, no, I think, and when we're talking that we're seeing those folks at other shows, like it's a much smaller number. Like, we sell out one show with 1,000, 1,200 seats, whatever. Most of that audience is going to that show. A handful of those are going to go to some other things. It's not a great marketing expense for your other shows.
But that just begs the question then, what are you doing to retain those first-time ticket buyers who might be coming into your venue? How are you following up with them? What sort of perks are you giving them? How are you making them feel like they are part of your family, of your center, beyond that one single experience? Because we all know it's more expensive to get that first-time ticket buyer than it is to retain them afterwards, right? So what are we then doing after the fact, after that big successful show, to keep them coming back for more?
I think that's the part, is the more commercial programming that you do, the better you market it. And especially if you're bringing in big name acts really get a lot of appeal and organic sharing, and people telling each other about it, and people sharing themselves amongst each other. Hey, did you see that the Civic Center's got this act coming in? And that one thing alone is worth it, in a way that you're bringing more attention to yourself as a venue, and more people will be paying attention to what you're doing. So it actually makes your marketing, it makes it easier to reach people in the future, the more things you do that capture overall attention.
Right. You're building relationships. Just like everything in our business we talk about, it once again comes back to building relationships. And it's also part of the way I do it is not only through the marketing and the follow-up communications and things after you've captured their information, which is important to Josh's point, but it's also about standing. I make sure I'm in the lobby. I'm visible. They know who I am. I go up and do curtain speeches so they know, hi, I'm the executive director. And then they see me in the lobby. And I'll occasionally just randomly offer people, we have these new sippy cups that are branded, and we'll offer them one of those to, for free, and just different ways to make, sure that they know, hey, welcome. Thanks for coming. Did you enjoy it? Did you, what else would you like to see? And just knowing that, hey, I'm out there. I really am. I'm not just asking these blank questions. I'm curious. What else would you like to see? What are you into? What are you interested in? So they know that this company really cares about what I'm into and want to make sure that I'm finding things that are good for me too. So it's about just, all the ways that you can have the connections and build on a relationship with them.
Mentioning the sippy cups, bar sales are a huge part of commercial programming for us. I mean, depending on the act, we've brought in as high as $12,000 at bar on some shows. And I know other venues who bring in $20,000 on a night on those.
Josh, and you should mention the size of your venue too, because that's scaled based on a venue size.
Yeah, we're 1,100 seats, and we don't charge high amounts. We don't have any drinks over $8 or $9. And so, $10,000 difference on a show. I mean, that $10,000 bar for one commercial show can underwrite loss on two different mission-based programs. And that's the kind of difference that it can make.
Not to mention, it can help cover costs that are not supported by grants and other funding areas, because you have overhead of personnel and salaries and other things that are important and vital you have to have that venue working, that, we don't have other funding places there. So people are like, oh, why you're making so much money? You should give more of it to the artists. I agree. We need to pay artists fairly, but we also should be able to make some money on shows as well, because that allows us to continue doing shows.
And let's not act like in commercial programming, the artists are not being paid well.
Oh no, they get the major lion's share, sure. But I'm just saying that for the non-commercial acts as well.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Well, thank you for joining us here today on There's No Business Like. It has been such a fun conversation, and we have loved spending some time with you this week. And we hope you'll join us again next week on There's No Business Like. See ya.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to There's No Business Like. Our producers and hosts are Brian Zelmer, Josh Benson, Kevin Maynard, Katie Miller, and me, Danielle Van Hook. Views expressed in this podcast are ours alone and are not reflective of the organizations we are a part of. Keep up with us at nobusinesslike.com. There you'll find links to all of our episodes and socials. If you like this podcast, give us a like, a follow, a review, or our favorite, a 5-star rating. Oh wait, what was that site? I got it, don't worry. It is nobusinesslike.com. Do I sound out bus-I-ness every time I type it? Yep, sure do. Stay in touch, my friends.
Josh, you ever paint in Spider-Man outfit? Like you have Spider-Man pajamas, like the onesies for adults?
No, I don't have Spider-Man onesie pajamas. I should.
Totally do that.
That's ridiculous. I do. So.
Now we know what Josh is getting for Christmas.
Do any of you remember underoos when you were a kid?
No.
Yeah, I remember underoos.
I don't know an
Oh my God, they were amazing. I would run around the house in my underoos thinking I was Batman or whatever I had on.
Excuse me, I'm looking up underoos.
They were graphic underwear for children. Kind of like graphic tees, but graphic underwear.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification.
Man,
Yeah.
good news. You can buy them for adults now too.
Really?
Oh.
I'm sure my wife would love that.
men's underoos. Look at that. Star Wars poster underoos. The Flash underoos, which is really just red underwear with a yellow band.
Yellow band, yeah. I remember those. I don't think the design has changed in 50 years. So.
That's funny.
And it's, I think the one
I had
one
my hand
aspect
up,
of
Josh.
that is that
I know. Oh, listeners, Brian has
think
found
one of
the
the-
raise your hand function in our podcast studio. Which
that's the first ever.
It's the first
I
ever.
also
It
did
is the
not
first
know
ever.
that existed.
I didn't either until today. But go ahead with your point, and then I'll go.
Well, how dare you, Josh? Why don't you just bring in Taylor Swift?
I had my hand up. Come on, Kevin.
Kevin
Brian,
had his
go
hand
ahead.
up too, by the way.
His was
I lowered
second,
it.
though. It was in a queue if you looked. Anyway,
Josh, I'm curious. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh, I was just going to say, was there a...
Raise your damn hand next time.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
And that's Brian, why don't you interject before I jump and go in a different direction, since you have your hand raised.
The boys, listeners, are having a hand raising war with the little. That's why I'm giggling. Any last thoughts before we head out for today?
I just I want to make sure I share.
Excuse me,
something.
Brian.
Whoa.
Kevin had his hand
Oh, I
raised.
It's
did.
raised.
Sorry, Kevin. I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. My
Oh, I just wanted to say I like this new hand raising button. That's all.
Brian, go ahead.
Well, since Danielle's not with us today, I wanted to share a picture with the group that I had AI create because everyone knows that. Can you see that? Danielle is
Closet
our closet
octopus.
octopus. Yes, and she's on the podcast. So
That's really well
I kinda
done.
want that as a sticker.
Although the front
I think we
two
need
legs
it.
kind of look like a tongue with the way that AI structured that. But other than that, it's great.
Well, keep in mind it's AI created. So
I think it has more
Brian.
than 8 legs. I don't know if I can believe this anymore.
Okay, here we go.